Yeah, I was there too.
Return of the
I didn't know
Vince.
Vince was in here.
What?
Yeah.
Oh!
How long have you been here?
Popped in. Goblin boy popped
I just
out
heard a
of the
voice.
The Merc has arrived.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 13 of the Gollum's Gamers podcast. So today we are going to be doing another tournament review episode this time. We did do a preview episode for this event, so that is available to go and check out if you haven't seen that. But we've been to the tournament, so we're going to do a review episode. It was the GBHL 90 event in Swindon. Let the dice bearer decide. And we all had a pretty good time. So we're going to run through how we got on at the event. So to kick things off, we're going to start how we usually end by showing how we all got on at the event. Well, almost all of us, because the three boys did manage to take home all three podium spots, first, second,
Let's go.
the Gollum Gamers. So it's, 90, 85, and 80 points, right?
No.
Yeah, I think so.
I do think it is.
It will be because there was only 18.
Yeah, usually that's
For
how
Tom's
it
event.
is, but,
Yeah, it's not
just the
usually
actual
like that,
points,
but
that
for
is how
Tom's
many
events.
points you get.
It'll be roughly something like that, but it's not exactly it.
It is
No,
exactly
it
that.
is
Tom's
exactly
events.
yeah.
It totally is exactly it.
Oh, there you go.
There you go. Heard it here first. So Ash did kind of ruin the aesthetic though, not wearing the same Gollum top, which was a bit of a shame.
Yeah.
We have had many compliments about my Gollum top being better than yours. And I did put that forward as the initial design, but you will
It's not your
grow.
top though, mate.
It's totally
Yeah,
not.
you-
It's totally not.
You decided to bring it. Maybe next year, 2024 will have a new design. But we're
On
going to run
sale
through
soon.
we're going to run through everyone's games, including theirs. But we're going to start with mine because I did not do so well. So my first game was against Ben Jeffrey, very, very lovely guy, one of the local guys in Swindon. It was a really, really nice game. Had a pleasure playing him. He had a 51 model Azog's Hunters list. I was playing Rohan Lothlorien, as you can see there on the left. I had like 36 models. For anyone who hasn't seen the preview, it was just Grimbold, Galadriel, and Theodred. He had all the unnamed Azog's Hunters heroes, a Hunter Orc captain, and a Merc captain. So it was veto this event as well. So we decided to end up playing capture and control. And Theodred lost his horse very early because he whiffed. So Theodred basically did nothing all game. And he rolled a lot of sixes on like one Hunter Orc with no banner. It would just be 2 dice 6. And I just didn't roll that well. So I lost my numbers quite quickly. And he had 51 models. So that says capture control, and that was totally not right. It was breakthrough. But so he popped his mercs up at the very back on my objective towards the end of the game. And that was basically all she wrote. He just killed so many models and couldn't really do much about it when he has 51. So I lost the first game 8-0, and you have to win all 3 games, or do you? To podium. So I thought I was out of the running almost instantly. But I went into the second game against James Goebel himself.
Public enemy number 1.
So we knew. So this was the game after lunch. So we knew that it was going to be pool. What pool is that one?
Pool 5.
Pool 5. Yeah. So we knew it was going to be pool 5, and James had his trebuchet list. If you haven't seen the preview episode, so it was like loads of knights, Hurin, Boromir, and Faramir, plus a trebuchet. So with my Rohan Loth list, I basically put my whole army together. So Grimbold, Galadriel, and all the troops, and then I just put Theodred and 3 mounted royal guard in the other corner. So they basically all died. And apart from Theodred, who just lost his horse, and he somehow managed to escape. By the time the rest of my army got over. But then James had the most insane banner, 6-inch banner I think I've ever seen in my life. We were just laughing for like an hour basically at how many 6s he was rolling on one dice.
Yeah, it was slightly above average.
Yeah, to say the least.
That's why Boromir is up there in my top 5 favorite heroes. Absolutely
Easiest model I've ever piloted by far.
How many times did you horn people?
Like literally every combat.
It's so fun when you don't even have to roll dice. You just instantly win.
Oh, I win.
The sad look on the opponent's face when they think they're about to roll
They have them in their
combat,
hand.
and then all of a sudden they just die.
Yeah.
It's great.
It's tragic. So yeah, that game really did not go very well. I conceded with about 15 minutes left because James was going to 12-0 me, and I thought, why play for 15 more minutes to have the same result? So I gave him a 12-0.
I also, Elliot, I thought that
thanks
was
to the
rather
banner.
poor of you, by the way.
What's
I think
that?
you
Very
should have let
poor.
James totally just table you with that list, and that's poor conceding 15 minutes left when you only had a few models. That
I
is
thought I'd save some. I thought I'd save some energy for the final game to try and not win the spoon.
No.
It
That's
Was
was
it
very
inevitable?
hot in there, and I thought I'm
It
not
was
gonna
very
roll
hot
dice
in there.
pointlessly 15 minutes. Let's go outside. So
Was it an inevitable conclusion though?
I was 100%.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah. It was done. Yeah.
Nothing
So
wrong with
yeah, so I gave him a 12-0. So I went into the last game and I played against Lewis for the spoon. Basically, I think there was a few other people or like one other game that maybe whoever lost that could have won it, but I was in a position to potentially win my first spoon. And I don't know if that shocked me or whether, it was going to be good pod content.
The
So
new
I was like
Mr.
sort of
Wooden
in
Spoon.
two, ways about winning it. So he had an Iron Hills and Army of Thrall list. It was pool 4, I think that is, with Lords and Contest. Is it Contest? No
Yeah.
one?
yeah.
Yeah. So we played to the death, and I basically shot him with all my elf bows. I managed to kill the banner by using the sentinel to get the model that he had in base contact with it away. So then I killed the banner. So I was already up on VPs before we even got into combat. And I actually killed quite a lot of the Guardians of the King as well with shooting. Then we got into combat. I just ignored Thor and Dane and killed all the troops and won the game 10-3. I was basically, it was quite straightforward. Lines clashed and that was it. So I ended 1-2 on the weekend, and I think I came, it was an 18-man event. I came like not 16th, like 15th or something. So
Did your line get on
crash
against
weekend.
his line in the last one?
What's that? Sorry.
How did your two lines match up?
Oh, well, he had lost. I think I'd maybe killed like 7 or 8 before combat. I think he had 34 models. So yeah, I think I killed like 7 or 8, including the banner. So I think he won the first heroic move roll off, and he got Dane. He killed 2, heroic combated into another 2. But then after that, I think I won most of the move offs. So I was able to tag him off and tag off Thor, and then as I already outnumbered, I got the traps and everything and just killed, because I still killed the D7 guys on 6s. So yeah, they did kind of go down after a few turns of combat, really. So
Okay.
but yeah.
Did you not have just pierced with your Helmingers to go to strength 5?
So I didn't give them axes. So because you have to go into the event and basically decide whether you're giving them swords or axes for the entire event. Yeah. So I thought being higher fight, it would give me, as they're already strength 4, as I'm going to be high fight, it'll give me an opportunity to feint more often.
Yeah, fair enough.
So that was the thing behind it. Obviously, I see it both ways. Like, I've run them with axes before, but then you might not always want to pierce. So I don't know. But yeah, for this event, I just ran them all with swords. So yeah, I finished 1 and 2, and that was it. Really pretty straightforward. But we're going to move on to the podium positions with James. Take us through your games.
Yeah, so as Elliot briefly said, I took a Trebuchet 15 Knights of Minas Tirith, led by Boromir with Banner, Faramir, and Huron. 21 models in total. First game, the pool came up. It was all 24-inch deployment against pits. I thought, this isn't going to go fabulously. I basically turned 1, charged in with everything I could, then I bounced off, died pretty much everywhere. Then called auto priority against me, trapped everything. I think I was broken by the second turn, and then he just kind of pushed through, managed to win the roll-offs against Boromir with Azog, and slowly splat through everything really after that. The game ended, I think, in about 40 minutes. It was a bit of a quick one.
And you still podiumed. Let's go.
Yeah, so I did manage to at least score a couple of VPs, which helped me get to that podium. And then game 2, we've been through a little bit, yeah. I was intrigued, Elliot, by your choice to play Divine and Conquer over Recon, in fact, because you gave me Theodred's Warband for free, whereas you might not have had to in Recon, which I thought was an interesting choice.
So would I have got anything off of the board?
Potentially. Could have got Phaedra and his knights off.
Mm. But then you still trebuchet them the same as you did in that game.
Well,
And
not
then
if they're in Galadriel's
chase you
Blinding
down.
Light.
So then I break them off around like the middle of the board.
Yeah,
then I
because
guess I've already
as long as you're
covered
within
half the
12 inches
board.
of the trebuchet, I can't shoot you. So
I thought I was never going to be able to stop you getting off, and I thought the chance of me getting off worse.
Yeah.
So I thought at least in Divide and Conquer, like I think that could. There's another universe where you don't roll as many sixes, and
definitely.
and I'm able to kind of, because Thedra did actually make it out. So yes, the Royal Guard died, but Thedra did make it out on foot. He was out of might, but he was still there. So there was a position because I was on the middle objective as well. So if I'd hunkered off there and then played for the side objective as well, could have, but I see the argument. Yeah.
Definitely. And yes, that was a nice 12-0, which gave me the VP diff that I needed to go on and have potential. And then last game, I played Mr. Burt Leach, who has been my bane for many a tournament, destroying me. Whereas this time, the tables were flipped. We played Lords of Battle. He had Defenders of Helm's Deep. My trebuchet was fabulous. I think I must have fired about 6 turns and hit 5 of them. I direct hit Theoden 3 times. I did fail to wound once, obviously, but second time he was squished by a large rock, so that was all good.
Were just so hot from the previous game. You just didn't.
Yeah, the last 2 games, I must have fired the trebuchet about 12 times and hit 10 of them.
That's pretty
Quite nice.
trebuchet.
This is the thing, in a 3-game tournament, if you got lucky with this list, you were going to do well.
Yeah.
Thing is, it wasn't even lucky because James just used his atomic cards dice in the atomic cards venue.
The atomic cards dice in the venue are outrageous.
It's meant to be.
That was the difference. Game 1, I didn't use them.
Exactly.
If you want to use your banner, the most effective way possible, bring an atomic cards dice.
Go to atomiccards.com and pick yourself up some dice.
Plug.
Come with every order.
Yeah. I despise seeing that little symbol come up when you roll against me, James. It's so annoying.
Saw it about 40 times in like 40 minutes.
It was quite outrageous. And basically, because Bert has a lot of throwing spears, he just kind of kept winning priority every turn, unfortunately, for him. So I stayed out of 8 inches until eventually the trebuchet, I think, had done enough. So I charged in with everything and just munched through him with my 3 heroes, and the knights just like 1v1ing guys, combating through, and it was just enough to table him in the last turn. So it was quite a nice 12-0.
Cover your entire battle line.
Yeah.
Love that from the Big B.
Exactly. And that ended up giving me a 3rd place, which was quite nice. My first podium of the year with a potential sus list.
So James, the question is,
pretty well done.
Are you going to continue using all the cursed lists now that you've actually podium with one?
Oh,
I'm going to keep it going.
I'll keep a few going, but I'll take it a little bit more seriously.
We need some points for the team.
Yeah, that's just for the team, not because I did well at this event. Just because I think the team deserves something.
The Guardians cannot finish above us.
Exactly. I can't finish below Jamie Wiggins. That would be embarrassing.
Unnegotiable.
Who else is in the Guardians team? They've got some good players.
Dewey.
Yeah, Dewey's good.
Ali,
yeah.
Ali King. Okay, yeah, they got really good.
Jamie just farms 80s, so that's not going to help him against us.
Hashtag Jamie, don't go back to Exeter.
Leave Exeter be.
They've totally got Clubley as well, don't they?
Yeah, Clubley, Dan, Ali.
They've got a lot of very good players.
Yeah. So they've got 2 ex-winners of the GBHL. Oh no, wait. Clubley came 3rd or 2nd?
Yeah, he came 3rd.
Yeah, I mean that's amazing.
Yeah. But we are above them in the standings where we shall remain as well. So
yes.
It's all good. So very well done to James for the first podium of the year with a very cursed list. So moving on next, we do have Sam, if you want to take us through your day.
Yeah, so
He woke up, he had breakfast. Either
Sam had an awful
He woke
weekend
up for this
overall.
tournament.
Yeah.
yeah, so for a little bit of context, we totally went to an event the day before this. I was meant to be at Elliot's house for about 8 o'clock in the morning, and
Ready to go.
yeah, and then decided to wake up and thought, oh, it's rather light for 6:30. Looked at my phone, and it was 7:52. So I thought, oh, this is not a good start.
He lives an hour away. For
Yeah, I was an hour away, so I was getting there for 9ish. So I sprinted to the event as fast as possible, and it was not the one. I was totally not in the right frame of mind to play. But we move on from that, and then we went to this event Sunday.
So if you give some top tournament tips to any
Be on
new players
time.
out there, get
Well
your
on
get your
time.
beauty sleep,
Yeah,
be on
be on
time,
time.
get mentally prepared.
Yeah, it's not the one.
Punctuality is key.
Yeah.
Punctuality is key.
So yeah, I woke up fresh-faced Sunday, taking my Angmar list to Tom's. So it was
You woke up fresh faced.
He totally didn't. He woke up to
I
me
thought Elliot did a
farting in his
wet fart on
face.
you.
I actually I totally didn't. I didn't even hear Elliot do this, to be honest. So when he said he did, I was like, oh, okay.
Oh, you didn't even.
I think I was
okay.
still asleep
Oh,
when you did it to me. Yeah.
That was a good
get out
alarm.
the next time then.
Yeah.
That's on me.
Yeah. I for this event I had Angmar, so the Witch King on horse with crown, Gullivar, and a Barrow White with just banner, and then the one Spectre and 2 Wargs and spam orcs. So 44 models in total. Game 1, I was drawn up against Matt with his Beornings Legion, which I didn't really fancy myself in, to be honest, because they're semi-good for countering Angmar with the Fearless on the bears and resistant on everything. But I kind of thought the only chance I'd have scenario-wise is domination. So thankfully we played domination. Basically, Gullivar went around and just murdered Beornings. I'd done 1 wound with some orcs, and then I actually black darted that Beorning to ensure break. Basically broke him. Gullivar flew from objective to objective, just killing Beornings, and then I shoved my Barrow White onto one of them. Had a Witch King stand fast on another one, and then Gullivar with a Wild Warg on another one. So by the end of the game, we were both broken, and we had 1 turn of breaking, and I basically just 25% of myself as fast as possible.
Classic Angmar move.
Yeah.
Especially against Beornings.
Yeah. I was like, I'm just going to
Quite
run
easy.
everywhere. So I ran with all the orcs and then did my stand fast with my heroes. So when I was happy. So we both broke each other. I held 3 objectives and I won 7-4, which I was happy with that result.
That's genuinely an impressive win, because me and James on the way up couldn't think.
We were theorizing it, weren't we? We were thinking Beornings is quite a horrible matchup for those scenarios.
Totally thinking, there's just no way he can do it.
Yeah.
I think
it's definitely a tough game.
I think you were probably thinking about the odds of him winning in breakthrough or capture control, though, because
We did say in domination that was his one's best, because I'm assuming what you did is you deployed your 2 objectives as far away from each other as possible. So the bears had to split and whatever. We said in that specific case, potentially
where what breakthrough and capture control, you're playing basically within like what, a third of the board or something,
and those 2 bears just absolutely dominate
in like a diamond, basically. Yeah. 2 bears in there. Yes, you've got Gullivar, but like the Beornings are just gonna fucking kill everything.
Yeah.
And
luckily
I had some as well. I charged Gullivar to 2 Beornings. I thought I actually could totally die if I lose this fight and whiff, because I think I had 1 might at that point. So I actually transfixed one of the Beornings just as like a little bit of an insurance policy, and then I totally whiffed with that fight. And
good.
And so he only had 2 strikes. I think he did 1 wound, but then I just regained the wound to turn after. So
that's clever gaming from you.
That's smart play from you.
The small margins.
That's really good to have.
Clearly, your big winning tool to use.
Yeah. It was a really like competitive but strategic game. I was thinking a lot, to be fair. So yeah. And then I went into game 2 against the list that I was meant to be playing first game, but we had a redraw, which was 7 Horde and Farharad against David, who was a lovely guy. he had Saladin, 2 Mahud Kings, and another list that I didn't really like against because the Mahud Kings obviously fearless, or they make all your Mahud warriors fearless when they charge. So the Angmar Terror or the Orcs doesn't matter, and they all 3 heroes have strike, and he has blowpipes and the bows. I have no march, so and Divide and Conquer wasn't, or this pool of missions wasn't the best either. So for this one, he was a bit of a Chad, David was, because basically I won the veto. I lost veto and got rid of recon because I didn't want to face against his 10 cav. And then it was between Storm the Camp and Divide and Conquer. And we all know that Storm the Camp is draw central. And because David had won his first game, he also didn't really want to draw. So although it was his better scenario, he actually chose Divide and Conquer just so that someone would get like a benefit out of it, which big up to David, because I mean, I guess if you want to win the event, you kind of have to. But yeah, he hadn't really played against Angmar too much, which was a bit beneficial to me. So I basically put Witch King and Barrow White in one corner, Gullivar, and then I just basically just left the Orcs with in Gullivar's corner and just abandoned them because I thought these guys are going to die. But I had early on in the game compelled a Mahud King on a 6, and then charged it with Gullivar, combated off it into half trolls. Basically, Gullivar just went around and killed everything. Killed all his half trolls, killed the Mahud King, killed Saladin, and then I tried to fix the Mahud King last turn so that he had to do courage test. He ran all over the board. So I held both objectives, both side ones. I had more in the middle for 3, and then killed his leader and broke him, and I was unbroken. So 10-0 win, which was nice.
Nice. It is so obviously we know that you came second. Your VP diff isn't actually like compared to James's, who had 2 12-0s. Obviously he lost the game, but just obviously you didn't have like really big wins other than one. But I guess that's more important over the tournament with more games.
Yeah, I mean, 3 games, you kind of, if you want to come first, you do need to win big. But like my first game, I don't think there was any hope of me, getting substantial VPs or like the VP.
Domination is a difficult one to get high VPs in anyway.
Oh yeah.
And my last game, which I also didn't think I would get many high VPs at all, was against Dan Hawkins, one of the Guardians, and he had a very terror heavy list as well with the Shadow Lord, the Mouth on the horse, and then
the Musgo,
the Spider Queen. He just had a 14 Black Num Shield Wall with 14 Morannons, 2 Bat Swarms, the Spider Queen. So it's 35 models, and I favoured myself more. I think my list went into his a little bit better because of the Spectre for his Courage 1 Bat Swarms. So he vetoed contest because the Witch King is better than Shadow Lord in combat, and then I vetoed Lords because he will kill me better. So we played to the death. I ended up just walking towards him. He kind of played in this chokehold with his nuns who went out fight my Orcs, which I basically we didn't want to get a draw again. So I walked towards him. We actually never ended up charging each other really, because he was Courage 3. He failed Courage tests. I was Courage 1. I wasn't going to pass any Courage tests. So our battle lines essentially just sat there, just staring at each other, and he might pass like 3 or 4 return, which it was just really interesting. We were both thinking so much because we knew that we're protecting our banners by just 3-point trapping them. Any VPs, we would just then run away and win the game 2-0, 3-0, whatever. So it was I expected one of the bats over, killed it. I was a little bit unlucky with my resist test on Gullivar, but it wasn't the end of the world because I basically spent 2 will, 2 might to resist spells, and it was my following turn. I did a Spectre on a Morannon, Compel on a Black Num, charge with Gullivar into his back line, barged, got into the Shadow Lord, killed the Shadow Lord. So at that point, I was winning 3-0. And then we only had like 15 minutes left on the timer at that point. because the rounds were really long. We were just talking each other through kind of what our thoughts were and plans were. So because we both knew what we wanted to do each. The only way he was going to avoid this Gullivar play was actually really smart, and I was thinking, what the hell are you going to do to avoid this? I thought it was unavoidable, and he basically combated with the Spider Queen, wanted to lose it so that he could back away. So he would back up with the Spider Queen, and then when he did the Mouth of Sauron fight, because there was no area for the mouth to now back into, he would then have to back the Shadow Lord away, which then meant I wouldn't be able to get into him. No. So he actually mighted, with the Spider Queen fight, he mighted down to lose. And if that play had gone off,
wow,
he could have backed the Shadow Lord away. But I had luckily done 3 wounds. I rolled 3 5s on the Spider Queen, so it just outright died, which meant that there was now the mouth had space to back away into. Like if you can back away, yeah, kind of that vibe.
Dan's big brain play just got screwed by your dice luck.
Because he charged 4 orcs, which is like needing 3 5s. It was pretty freaking jammy. He did not expect it. I didn't expect it either. When I rolled it, I was like, oh, it's totally dead. Yeah. Oh my god, it is. And we both just looked at it.
That is an absolutely delicious play. I really rate it.
Yeah. But then he did the mouth, he like 2-handed. But I then bannered my 5 down to a 2 or something. So I actually lost the fight, thankfully. And then I did the play, I killed the Shadow Lord, and we both thought, yeah, that's it, can be it. So we both had a banner. I killed his leader and won 4-1.
Little bit of luck that you need, eh?
Yeah. So,
final game of the event. That's what you need.
Yeah. Ended the day 3-0. So was undefeated and came second. So yeah, I was happy with it.
Really good, mate.
Thanks.
Very nice.
A good day of gaming. Yeah. I was unfortunate. I was really hoping to play Dan. I was due to play him round 1, but we had the redraw. Because it seems like really interesting this with the Spider Queen, the Mouth, and the Shadow Lord. Terra Frontline. It's like a different take on the whole Black Numb vibe that's going around at the moment.
Yeah, definitely.
Seems like a good list.
Dan is also a very nice person to play.
Yeah,
he's a top bloke.
Yeah,
compared to player, he's also very competitive and one of the better people at the game, like really, really good. So it was nice, and that's the first time I played him as well, so it was nice.
Good game. Sam came second in the end, but there can only be one in first place.
One to rule them all.
Goes to Mr. Ashley Walger. Ash, tell us how you got on.
So, first of all, I played Aaron. He had a Rivendell Knight White Council combination, which was a very, very good matchup for me. He had Elrond, 5 knights, a captain, a Rivendell captain with Lance, 5 knights, and a Radagast on Eagle. Effectively, we played capture and control. I can't really remember how the veto off went, but he suffered from in capture and control. When you roll a 1 or a 3, a 1 to 3, you have to deploy within the front 12 inches of the board.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And he wanted to deploy in the middle. Then there was like this big piece of woodland that he then deployed, I think accidentally, too close to my battle line, which allowed me to be within 6 inches first turn, which is not what you want to do with Riv Knights. So it came down to a roll-off for the first move. I won the roll-off, charged all of his knights, and then my battle line was basically 6 inches above the 24 line. So I already had the 4 objectives behind me.
So hard for him to come back from that.
After that, it was it. He also proceeded to lose the next 2 move roll-offs, so none of the Riv Knights charged all game. And the only thing I couldn't... Aaron really had a stinker, unfortunately, with his dice. Apart from that, the only thing I couldn't do was kill Elrond, because he is a bit of a Chad. So that was that.
He was my number 1 rated hero.
Throwback.
Epic profile, and there's like not much you can really say it's bad about it.
He lost 11-0 though. Fair play to him.
With Aaron.
Elrond starved me of that VP.
Not his fault.
So next we played Recon, which is my favorite scenario, against Chris. He had Azog, Thimble, Narzug. Elliot, is that?
Yeah, that is. He had them. Yeah.
I always get confused with the
named ones,
the Hunter Orc heroes. The one that's fight 5.
Thimble.
Thimble, that's the
yeah.
one. So he had Azog, Thimble, and Narzug. Recon's quite a tactical scenario, and you have to play all around the board. So I was lucky that I had Saladin with his march, with his 4 cavalry, to be able to push up the board. Chris with his, I think he had like 11 bows, and Narzug decided to like stand in a chokehold and shoot me. So I decided to just bully Azog with magic, sap his will, get him round to my side, and just took the shots because he was killing like 1 or 2 Numenorians a turn while I was slowly grinding Azog down. He then realized that he kind of needed to charge me, and then couldn't because he's courage 1 against my Black Numbs. So just then couldn't charge me. I killed Azog. I ran 5 models off the board. Once I had killed all of his heroes, I then just chucked the Witch King, Saladin, and Gorbag into his troops, being fight 5, strength 4. I then broke him, and that was it. 12-0. So at this point, I was very happy. I'd only dropped 1 VP so far, and I knew that if I won this last game, I would win the event. But I came up against a very difficult opponent and a great friend of the channel, Zahir, who we have all played many a time and is an absolute top fella.
Shout out Zahir.
Yes.
Top bloke.
We love
Makes good terrain as well.
Yeah.
Makes fantastic terrain. And also played Theodred's Guard, which is a Legendary Legion I have never played before. And as I think we've said a few times on the podcast, one of the biggest benefits using a list is that your opponent has never played against it, because then you don't really know the top counters. And the Swarm Protector for Zahir was fantastic because it was like, oh, you've got a terror line, no one cares. And all the Rohan charged in with lances, not lances, sorry, throwing spears.
How was his return on the throwing spears, sorry, overall, would you say, against T6?
Very poor. Very poor. I should go back really and talk about the scenario. So Zahir had, I think it was 11 outriders on foot, 2 outriders on horse. So he had 13 shots and about 20 throwing spears. So I had 42 models and he had 41. So in his first round of shooting, he shot a wound off Kardash, a wound off Gorbag, and took out 2 Black Numbs. And I was quite scared about that. And I had contemplated that maybe my choice was wrong and I should have gone for Lords of Battle, deploying 24 inches up instead of the to the death 12.
Yeah.
Another mistake I made is that Zahir had 2 banners. So into the death, it was even more of a poor choice. However, it didn't make much of a difference because although Zahir split his forces in 2 around this big sort of hut, he decided to roll really well in the first 2 or 3 turns and was trading really well against my Black Numbs. And I was actually in danger of losing until I did a cheeky prayer to the dice gods, and then the luck changed. And in the last 2 turns, something we say quite often is having luck at the end of the game is way better than having luck at the start of the game.
Way more influential.
And it was exactly that. He was winning all the fights at the start of the game, and then I just won all of the fights at the end of the game, and just completely destroyed him. I used one of my favorite tricks, which is he had a banner. I think this probably he admitted after the game he didn't know about this, or not didn't know, but didn't.
I actually told him about this before the game. I'd just like to tell you that as well.
You're trying to get me out of my win, James. So he had his banner in the battle line. So I compelled the banner back like a quarter of an inch with the Witch King, so it wasn't touching anything. I then flame burst it with Kardash, so it just died because he couldn't pass it on. And then it was a case of he now no longer had his banner, which potentially was one of the effects of the dice gods that meant my weight of dice was now a lot higher than his, and I was grinding way better. So he kind of thought if I don't get my second banner over, I'm going to lose the battle line anyway. So he did get the second banner over, and then I effectively did the same thing because he had run out of models at that point to have more than 2 touching it, compelled it, flame burst it, and then I was up on banner points as I had Suladan. We both broke each other in the end. I had a banner and I 25% him in the last turn. And yeah, that was that.
You think if he had pinned his first banner in with 2 models, allowing you not to do the classic compel flame burst, it would have been different?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
Did you have to spend any might with Kardouche to wound on the flame burst?
No. I did chuck 2 to cast it, and then it's just a 50-50 roll because it's D6 to see whether it dies.
So the first time you spent 2 killed, did you then kill an orc to get an extra will to then do 2 the next time?
Yeah, so I murdered a tracker, did it again.
So you were successful the first 2 times you tried it?
Yes.
That's good luck in the last game
of
the event.
It totally went well. A thing that Zahir did was he kept Theodred well away from my battle line so that I couldn't do any magic to him. I couldn't influence him in any way because he has to charge. I couldn't what's the word? I couldn't kite him in any manner. Which meant he didn't have that much killing power in the battle line. But I think he thought it was more beneficial to have the Swarm Protector so that he could charge and get his throwing weapons off.
It is his leader.
I agree with him on
that.
So
I agree with
be careful.
I agree with him completely.
Yeah.
He could easily kill Theodred.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got 3 will, and I get it's his killing power, but it's risky to give away the VPs. He could grind out a small win rather than risk losing
definitely
straight away.
Yeah, that was a good play.
Yeah, so it all just basically fell. The cards aligned, and unfortunately, Zahir got outrolled with a little bit of mistake on his part by not having the second guy behind the banner. But you can't. If I see that you haven't done that every single turn, that's it. Your banner's dead if it's not a hero. So it's kind of like it's a difficult one to avoid unless, as James and Sam play me all the time, it's exactly what's in the forefront of my mind.
Yeah. So 3-0 on the weekend as well, on the day as well, but better VP diff overall than Sam. So you took the number 1 spot. Going back to the first slide. Here we go. Yeah, 1, 2, and 3. So it was a good way to end the weekend overall.
Absolutely. What we should, did we say there was only 18 players?
18.
Only 18 players. So it was a small GBHL 90, which definitely helped. There was also an event going on at the same time that Adam was partaking in, which also meant potentially not there was a more spread out pool of players across the country yesterday.
In the South region.
Yeah, in the South region. So
yeah, I was there too.
I totally can't even see.
Return of the Vince.
Vince was in here.
What?
Yeah.
How long have you been here?
Oh, I thought you saw me. No, sorry.
It's on the camera thing.
Just popped in. Goblin boy popped
I just heard a voice.
The Merc has arrived.
Yeah, he's spawned in. Passed his courage test.
I thought you could see me. I didn't know. All right, sorry.
It's on the camera. Yeah, no, you weren't there, but I've changed it now and I can see. So ended 3-0. You and Sam ended 3-0. So we got 1, 2, and 3 spots for the Gollum's Gamers. Thought this would be a good opportunity to quickly jump in. I know this is the Let the Dice Bearers Decide review episode, but we did have another podium on the weekend from the Gollum's Gamers, which was Adam himself, so on the previous day, we spoke about earlier that Sam was meant to come to my house in the mornings. We were driving to another event. Adam also went to that event and he ended up coming second. So did you want to briefly run through your games, Adams, very quickly? I could bring them up on the screen for the lovely viewers.
Go to them.
Yeah.
So I ran the 500-point Serpent Horde.
Shout out again to Longshanks, enabling us to do this.
Yeah. It's all on Longshanks. Longshanks, sponsored by Ashley Waldrer, who is sponsored by Longshanks.
Absolutely.
Totally need to get a football shirt, Ashley. That's Longshanks.
Longshanks United.
Okay, so here we are. So Adam, games. Yes. So these were your games. Oh yes, you played Vince, of course. So
yeah, so it's been a very long time since I went to a tournament and actually played like someone who's not pretty good at the game. So first round draw, Vinny Wong. Played Seize the Prize. I marched over the prize, defended it for several turns. He got through the Goblin King, murdered me. I broke him, unbroken, so it was 3-3. Next game was against another Gollum's gamer in Elliot.
Indeed.
Oh,
10-0.
Yeah. I think 10-0 was a bit.
It was a close game. We played it, like pretty sort of evens, I think. And
yeah, it was contest of champions. I had a caster and I had a mounted hero in Siladan. This was this game here was the only game the entire weekend in which the Betrayer did anything.
Yeah.
The Betrayer's custom values are really good.
Against me, you could manage to mobilize the king some key turns. No, it's important. It was important against me, for sure.
Yeah, getting one immobilize off all game, I don't think is particularly great. Because what he does is he accelerates your killing, which isn't what you necessarily need. In some circumstances, it's really good if you want to end the game or something. But
no, it was massive because in C's, like one turn is so important.
Yeah, but it didn't matter. You won every single roll off that game anyway.
No, so but it didn't matter. The point is, immobilize in a scenario like that is quite important.
Yeah, so I threw immobilize 4 turns at the Goblin King. Went off once. I think it was the first turn I tried it. It got off. Might have been the second. But yeah, I mean, all it did was delay the inevitable. You got to the prize. I picked it up. You killed the guy. That was it. Anyway, yeah, second game against Elliot. I managed to compel. Was it gambling I went for?
No, so I charge gambling into Siladan.
Yeah, but first turn,
yes, you can go gambling away the first turn.
Yeah, because I wanted to make sure I was killing your throwing spears. So by calling poisons and moving the banner away, it meant that I just got the jump up in combats and I killed over the first 2 turns. It just kind of snowballed. So yeah, I was killing your troops faster than you could kill me because
the first turn we were fairly even. That was the turn Siladan killed 2.
Yeah.
Until things really opened up, that was all he actually killed. But I think we were fairly even after that turn. So it was still in the point where I could have recovered it.
Yeah, totally.
That turn. Because I think
what happened was I think we both killed about 6 models.
Yeah, and then I think I won the next move off as well. So it was like, okay, we're still sort of there.
Were you going in and striking, Adam? Because obviously,
he did that first turn.
Yeah.
Against elves, you have to.
But it was then I won that next move off, and then I charged gambling into Siladan.
Yeah.
For the forever heroic defense.
Clever.
Yeah. So yeah, I didn't mind losing 6 models despite using far more resources than you in terms of like a compel, a poisons, a strike. Because I realized that if I'm losing 6 and you're losing 6, I'll win the game. Because I'm on 2 kills and you're 5 models less than me, or 4 models less.
I think maybe that was the turn Theoden fluffed killing something as well. Or
you called it, yeah.
I think you were up like 2-0 after the first turn. And
yeah. Theoden fluffed.
Yeah. So it was like,
on his 2 die.
Yeah.
Oh shit, you got 2 dice. But yeah, you had an elf spear, but
I think it was something else. Yeah, but it was like.
Anyway, so the key moment of the game, it was really close, but the key moment was when, so the first turn, I think you had 3 turns where you were into Siladan with gambling.
Yeah.
I think one of the times you won, or one of the times I won, I can't remember. Nothing really happened.
No.
Maybe you did 1 wound and I fated it or something.
Yeah.
But then another turn where you charged me, because I was probably out of might at this point. I've only got 5 might, and it just.
This was with maybe like half an hour, maybe under half an hour left. So I think we were both out of might at that point.
So I'm just calling poisons every turn because I realize I just have very little time in this game. So call poisons, try and immobilize Theoden. So re-rolling all wounds on Suladan, and the egregious nature of what then just happened.
It was awful.
I won the fight.
The arrogance.
Elliot, what happened?
So Adam just picked up his 3 dice. I charged him, and he just kind of drops them into his dice tray. Into his dice tray. He did the classic Ashley Walger where he just picks them all up and then he just drops them.
Oh yeah.
And dice trays are terrible. Change my mind.
Well, he rolled a straight 666 on 3 dice into the dice tray,
and
just went, "Oh, Gamling's dead, and he's the only thing that's been keeping me in this game." And I was out of might, although I was planning to get another might back after that fight, but I no longer was. And now Adam regained a point of might because he killed a multi-wound model. So
yeah, that's just terrible.
So
luck.
From there, the game was basically over. And in the last 2 turns after that, again, this was with half an hour left, Adam just cleaned up everything as you would at that point, as I had no banner, no might.
I don't mean to rub salt in a wound, but
oh yes, yeah.
So the previous turn I did no wounds to him, and statistically with poisons up, I should do 2.5 wounds anyway.
You should kill
because it's 6s and re-rolling. No, it's 5s re-rolling because he didn't call defense. So it's 5s re-rolling. So I should do 2 wounds, maybe 3.
Yeah.
And then,
okay.
It was just the insult to injury, but I think one thing that did potentially, because I had spent the 3 might that turn to call a move to try, obviously, be able to dictate the move phase. So I couldn't call a defense, but I won the roll for deployment. So I put down the first warband. So basically, I didn't mess up the deployment, but Adam kind of did a juke move where he then deployed on the opposite side to where I thought he was going to go with one half of his army. So I had set up to call the first move with Halith, so that I could use the 3 might straight away. But I had to call the move with Gamling instead, because now he was in the middle with where I had to move the line to. So if I had that extra might, I would have been able to have called a defense in that penultimate turn where he died. So
it's clever plays from Adam.
Looking back, there was maybe a way to
avoid what's funny is, Elliot, you were kind of talking yourself into it though, because you were like, right, I know you're probably going to put something, you almost knew what was going to happen.
Well, basically, because I put down the first warband, I said I thought you might have gone on the other side. You could have basically picked either side.
Yeah.
So you didn't go the way where I had set it up to be with Haleth. But obviously with Haleth, I could only put him on one I don't think
it was much of a mistake though, to be honest.
But it ended up, if I had that extra might, I could have called a defense, which then Gamling could have survived. And as it was a very close game, could have maybe pulled it out. But yeah. Gamling died.
It's just those little bits of luck you need, isn't it, to win?
Yeah, and then
1,000%.
It was a good game.
Yep. Next game against John Parrish, we played Destroy the Supplies. That was a really fun game. He had the Mordor Trell and Catapult and the Witch King and loads of Black Numenorians and a couple of knights. I think 4 Mordor knights. Bit of a meme list, but he's a very good player. So it was a weird one where we set up. And I was thinking, well, I outshoot you because I'm just going to spread out and your catapult's probably not going to kill that many guys if I spread out. So I really liked his tactic. He kept reducing my courage on Suladan and just targeting Suladan because obviously he's worth banner points. And he had his 2 Morgul Knights down one flank. But yeah, eventually, my shooting killed enough Black Numenorians to get him about 3 models off breaking. And at that point, I kept charging him with Suladan. This is what really reduced the numbers. I kept charging him with Suladan, calling a heroic combat and just moving backwards. So I got the numbers down that way. I did that twice to reduce his numbers by 4. And yeah, he was close to breaking, which meant that he had to do something. Otherwise, he was going to lose the game. So that meant he pushed forward, which meant that I then just flanked around. And I did a combat with the Betrayer and just launched 5 guys forward. So yeah, got the objectives. Last game, this is a real toughie against quite a new player in Stuart McLean. Very, very good player. He took, in my opinion, the best army of that tournament. He played it really, really well. army of Thor. We were playing retrieval. So I shot into them, calling poisons, just trying to see if that would make him nervous about my shooting. 6s by 4s, but re-rolling with 17 dice. I did kill 2. So yeah, about right, probably. So I did that 2 turns in a row. So he marched into it, and I totally knew my battle line was going to crumble, but I had the speed. So I sent about 6-foot guys around one flank and 2 cav around the other, and eventually that got into his prize, picked it up, handed it off to a cav. Obviously, I then couldn't move, so then the next move I move on, and he'd broken me, and the timing of the break was so important. So he broke me the turn before I could go over the halfway line, and so I had 4 guys and the cav, and all I needed to do, so I moved the cav first. So I rolled a courage test with the cav, who's like 3 inches from the halfway line. Sorry, he's on the halfway line. It's 3 inches or 4 inches from my deployment zone. But I've got another 4 guys, so I'm not fussed. I roll it, I fail. Okay, he runs. All these guys are courage 3, right? So then the next turn, another guy goes in to try and pick it up. He runs away. Okay, it's fine. I got 2 or 3 more guys right next to the objective. They can do it. Fail. So my 4 or 5 guys there all failed their courage test, which meant that I dropped the prize, and it's on his board half, but it's really close to the middle. It's like, yeah, there. So it ended up being a 2-1 win because I moved his objective and we were both broken.
And that was it. Wow.
And that was it. And so if I had one guy who passed the courage test on a 7, we're talking about like, I think it was
the most common number on a dice.
4 guys failing a courage 3 check.
James loves failing courage tests with elves, so he feels even worse about that.
True that.
But yeah, all I needed was 2 more victory points to win the event, so that would have been it.
So tough.
Adam, that's just awful.
In my possession is 2 more points, so I would have drawn and it would have gone to margin of victory, or victory points scored, which I don't know who would have won that.
But you'd only get 2 more.
In my half.
Yeah, surely you'd have got it to your half, do you reckon?
Absolutely. They were all within about 5 inches, 4 inches of,
you'd have won
of my deployment zone, not my half.
Yeah.
So
does it have to be wholly within the deployment zone? Sorry, yeah.
It just says within. It says within the deployment zone. So it's not halfway, it's deployment zone.
Yeah.
Because it's split.
So that would have been an extra 4 points, which meant I would have won the event. I still haven't won a GBHL event.
Ouch.
I came second.
Same.
It's all good.
If only you didn't use up all your luck against Elliot, which you didn't need to because you were going to win anyway. Then you could have saved it for later because that's how luck works.
Yeah,
that was a really close game.
That's exactly how luck works.
Needs to do what you and Sam
Scientific fact.
Save it for the last game.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say I was that lucky against Elliot, to be honest. It was
no. But the big win, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah,
it would have been nice to have had at the end. So you ended it 3 wins and a draw for second place.
Yeah, I was amazed that was enough for second, actually, because the guy next to me, Rob Mackey, I think, he ended up winning the event. And then because there were loads of us on like 2 wins, 1 draw, loads of draws. And then top table drew. Now, had Demby won, I think he could have won the event.
The Dembinator.
Could he have won the event?
Without any heroics.
No, shout out to the.
He was doing well, and then there was obviously Wiggins, who, if he had won, he would have won the event, and I think they both drew. So, yeah, I swapped in there.
Yeah. So, that is 4 podiums for the Gollum's Gamers within 2 days and 2 events.
Pretty good.
You just love to see it. Yeah. So,
bring on the summer of tournaments.
Bring on the summer of MESBG.
We are here. Lots of 100s, lots of points up for grabs. So we're going to have lots more preview episodes coming up and review episodes and all that fun stuff over the coming months. But it looks like that is going to wrap up this episode. So thank you everyone very much for watching episode 13 of the Gollum's Gamers podcast.